Hello everyone. It's nice to see you here in Valmiera today. And about food system, and what do we mean about if we talk about food? Food is things that affect all of us in our everyday life. If we talk about food, we think about something what is in our shop basket. It is something on our plates, but food is much more than it is on our plate. Actually, it is, as you see from the slides, food is much more. It's connected with our health, with environment, and actually with society in general. In Vidzeme region, we have started our journey to understand our food system better, and in the project Kismet, which is aimed to create a supportive environment for sustainable food system in Baltic Sea region, Vidzeme is one of the pilot territories. And the focus in this project is specific on enhancing of sustainability of the local food system and develop Vidzeme region food strategy guidelines. And our vision in this strategy is we want to see our food system sustainable and based on stable local production and connectivity between our producers, and it is supported by broad public awareness and involvement, and most importantly, it provides locally sourced food that is accessible, affordable, and in demand by our consumers. So this strategy guidelines, actually not strategy, but strategy guidelines, is more than just only paper. It's, as we think, it's a platform for cooperation based on shared vision of how Vidzeme can become greener, can become more resilient and healthier. So, to understand the food system, we need to see it as a cycle. It starts with some primary sources. It's land, water, and soil. And the next stage is, we can say it's a farmer stage, and it's a primary production. And if you talk about first stage, it's more, we can talk about more environment aspects. And next stage is like agriculture. It's a growing our some primary resources. It's a meat, it's a crops or some other products. And the next part of food cycle, food system is related with some processing, with distribution of these food products. And finally, it comes in our plates, and it's related with consumers. But it don't end at this stage. Actually, it also includes waste and waste management, which helps return this resources back as new resource, as fertilizers, as some feed materials for cycle again. And the food system is interconnected, as you see, when one part of the chain one part's weaknesses or breaks can affect the whole system. And that's why when we talk about sustainability of food system, we must look at the system of whole, not only individual parts. And a little bit in details about each part in Vidzeme region. And if we talk about food system in Vidzeme, from the land to table, it is important to understand who are the key players there. And in Vidzeme and across Latvia, a wide range of actors take part, farmers and processors, and each of them has a unique role in food system. And in Vidzeme planning region is the biggest territory of planning regions in Latvia, and it's a territory covering only nearly the third part of Latvia, and actually there are almost 600,000 hectares available for food production. It's agricultural land, which little bit more than 21% are operated organically. And but if we talk about farms, only 8% of all registered farms operate organically. This stage are affected also by environmental aspects. And in this small yellow picture, you should see some, this map highlights possibility of droughts or floods in Latvia. And Vidzeme region, kur ir tā podziņa? There is Vidzeme region, and partly it is possible to suffer in agriculture because of droughts, and in primary production stage, the most land is used for cereal crops, but what is important, I would mention, there are a big amount. So it's a next stage. Most common farmed animals are cattle, like 30%. But what is important, it's there are a big amounts of bee colonies in Latvia farms in Vidzeme region actually, and what means in our opinion it's important because our farmers are thinking about not only production but also about pollinators, which affect our farming to be more greener and more sustainable. So, and the next stage is related with processing and distribution of farms, and in our region, as you see, is 5.5 food production enterprises per 1,000 residents, and small-scale producers, it's a little bit less. Actually, it's almost two producers per 2,000 per 1,000 inhabitants, and there is a question to consider, which we find within this elaboration of this Vidzeme region food strategy development. How much of what is producers stay in the municipality region, and in other words, are we producing food and that truly feeds our local communities, or this food leaves the region through trade and export, what also is important for us. And understanding of this flow is really crucial for develop the food strategy. And this slide is a little bit complexity, I think, but I am not going to explain it in totally. But I would like, it's a dairy production system in Vidzeme. But what I would mention, if we talk about organic farms, we have a lot of dairy farms. It's more than 3,000. But only 225 farms are producing organically. And what is if we are going further for this production chain, we can see that small-scale production in small-scale production are involved only small amounts of them, 16 farms, and most of them are this milk is going through big processories, and only 3 lines of organic production comes from one processing factory. So, and it's also it tells us about potential of organic dairy farming, but there is a place for working for us. If we talk about if we proceed talk about this production, and it's time. So okay. About retail, and there are a lot of retail places for our residents, almost 7 retail food businesses per 1,000 residents. And what is also important, what is possibility for our food system resilience? It's 42 people which receive meals in kindergartens, in schools and hospitals. And there also we have some question how much is produced in Vidzeme we use in our daily life. And of course, finally, we find some target groups in this strategy. And it's I think there is to understand that consumers want local food that is affordable and easy to recognize. And what is important, they want to trust their regional producers and be certain that this production is really produced in a region. And for producers, of course, it is important market access and clear regulation for producing. And we find some main challenges at each stage of this food system, and it's related with production and processing and trade and consumptions, and of course if we return in previous slides, there are systemic barriers. It's related with some policies and municipal support, what is necessary to solve. And key strategic directions which can help enhancing local food system. It's knowledges that focusing on raising awareness and cooperation between in vertical and in horizontal levels between farmers and between political makers in vertical this vertical cooperation and collaboration, reducing barriers and accessibility points that include enhances visibility of our local food via some digital platforms or other things. And we also find what can everyone do for promoting our local food, and there also is some things what we do at different levels as inhabitants, as decision makers, as consumers. For example, as consumers, we can choose local food in our market, in our shops. As municipality, we can include procurement in this our local food in school meals, support local food using, and what was important in many different interviews, it is important educational points. And finally, there are some 2 points for discussion after our presentations. What can each of us individually and what can our organizations do to make the Vidzeme food system more sustainable, or our origin country food system more sustainable, and how we can strengthen the role of local products in regional food system. So it's all.
Okay, thank you, Līga. Thank you for your presentation. Yeah, thank you for the insight in the Vidzeme regional food system. Maybe don't leave the stage, yes, and maybe for the audience there are some questions you would like to ask Līga straight away, because after all presenters we will have the discussion part and we can still compare the food systems in each countries and also have questions. But if you have some question, maybe you can ask it now as well.
Thank you for good presentation. So my question is, what is the how the producers are doing? Food producers are how affordable it is to be a food producer in Latvia?
In my opinion, it is important to be more open-minded in different levels and be active in some activities and in networkings and in some innovation to include some innovation aspects in producing levels. For example, I don't know, some digital platforms which can help inform about products we produce. And the next point is, for example, some blockchains which can help to understand all stages of this food, where it comes, and it helps to consumer choose local food and be certain that they are eat healthy and locally produced foods, and it can help for producers be more successful in market and in business. But if we are going to work with some okay in old style. I think not conventional, in traditional way, yes, more traditional. And if producers are not ready for new technologies include in their production, it can't be very successful in business. And innovations also are not only conventional producing, it's also, we have some new innovative approach in Vidzeme region, Vidzeme bioregion, Gauja National Park bioregion. It's also our new innovative approach for producing and retail their local food, organically producing food. And there are different ways to be more attractive and well known. So
it seems that in your region, in Vidzeme region, this is very strongly strategically supported. This sector.
Yes, our sector, and what is important. At municipality level and regional level, there are very close collaboration and networks between vertical vertical cooperation in all stages of starting from consumers, finally from political decision makers and producers. There are very close connectivity, and it helps producers to in their daily life, in their production.
Thank you. The next speaker is from Finland, so I will introduce her. She's online, Irene Kuhmonen. She's a postdoctoral researcher at University of Jyväskylä. She's one of the leader researchers on sustainable food systems in Finland, and she will talk about the whole more. She will have more holistic view on the food system in the whole Finland, and what are our weaknesses and strengths in our food system, and especially when talking about sustainable food.
Thank you for the kind introduction, and I'm going to talk about sustainability transition in the Finnish food system, so taking quite a bird's eye view to this phenomenon. And so we will first take a quick overview of the Finnish farming sector and the sustainability challenges, as well as their root causes. And basically the argument that I will be making is that one of the most important root causes of the sustainability problems that we are having is related to the concentration and centralization taking place in the food system, and that is on its part related to metabolism, which is based and fueled by fossil economy. And we will also have a look at alternative future directions. So first, I'm going to give a quick overview of where food is produced in Finland. And as you can see from this map that shows the proportion of cultivated area in Finland, you can see that the most of the agricultural activities are taking place in southwestern Finland. But this doesn't mean that the rest of Finland would be all forests, by no means. But the agricultural activities in central, eastern, and northern Finland are pretty much grass-based. So most of the cereal production is concentrated in the southern and western parts of Finland, where the climatic conditions are more favorable to those kinds of production. So the average share of cultivated land in Finland is a bit over 7%. The most of the farms in Finland produce crops, so they are like plant production farms. But then when we take a look at the total turnover, then the picture is quite different. So there the animal production dominates. So most of the income that is coming in agriculture is actually constructed by activities related to animal production, even though the majority of farms are plant-producing farms. So this is obviously explained by the fact that the plant-producing farms tend to be smaller, and the incomes that farmer gets from plants is less than from animal production. And when we have this discourse that is related to the need to reduce and scale down animal production for sustainability reasons, this is obviously a problematic issue for farmers in Finland, and we will come back to this a bit later during the presentation. The agricultural market in Finland is extremely concentrated. So we have over 90% of markets dominated by only 3 players. And this is related to the fact that the competitiveness in agriculture is weak. We have been seeing increasing number of bankruptcies taking place in agricultural farms. And many farms are quitting when they cannot see kind of a profitable future anymore, so before going into bankruptcy. But at the same time, retail and trade are quite strong competitively. The share of primary production from food prices has been decreasing throughout the 2000s, while that is especially trade and retail has been growing. We have self-sufficiency in food at about 80%, so we are still pretty self-sufficient. But here it's important to note that our kind of sort of self-sufficiency is still based on fossil and virgin inputs that are being imported beyond the Finnish borders. So we are still operating pretty much within the fossil economy. And our self-sufficiency rates are also decreasing. A bit of a historical background to what is going on in the Finnish food system. The contemporary food system can be characterized as a globalization regime, which has been in place from 1995, which is when Finland joined the European Union. And we've seen a number of regime shifts in the history of the Finnish agri-food system. And if we take a look at the last 100 or so years, we can see that each of these regimes has lasted for a couple of decades. And each of the regimes have also faced a kind of a dead end along their maturation. The reasons for these dead ends have been variable. At this moment, I would argue that our dead end is coming from specifically these oligopolistic markets and cost price squeeze that the farmers are facing. Then about the sustainability problems. Traditionally, the nutrient question, so the question of waterway eutrophication, for example, has dominated the discussion about agriculture sustainability impacts. Especially during the 2000s, climate change entered this discursive environment, so it started taking up quite a lot of space in relation to agricultural sustainability. And then we have these biodiversity issues that have been bubbling in the background for a long time, but not receiving as much attention as the nutrient question and climate change. But you will see in a short time why we should actually be giving those questions a lot more attention. So as mentioned, our agricultural sector is strongly reliant on animal production, and we are seeing this kind of delegitimation and contestation of these sectors at the moment. And especially due to the entering of the climate change issue, but also the nutrient question is related to animal production when it is practiced in a very concentrated fashion where we have all the animals packed in large factory type of farms. Then we have these kind of alternatives also in the food system related to agroecology and organic farming, which are kind of contrasting the traditional way of intensified and productivist agriculture. And maybe the important question to consider here is whether we can solve the sustainability problems we have using the same kind of institutional logics that have given rise to this. So I argue that the logic of intensive production and this kind of productivist logic should be contested to tackle the sustainability problems, and especially the integration of the food system with fossil metabolism. So Finnish people are fond of their technology and their technological innovations, and kind of decoupling the negative impacts via technology from the land and from the kind of the negative externalities. But I and many others who are working with these agroecological solutions are of the opinion that agriculture actually can be the solution, but it just needs to change fundamentally for that to be possible. Here we can see some of the history regarding the nutrient question, which is clearly related to excessive use of fertilizers. So here you can see the red line is depicting the amount of nutrients that have been applied to agricultural fields. And then we have the, the blue dots, which describe the nutrient contents in the fields. So even though we have a rapidly decreasing application of fertilizers to the fields, the history is still present at the nutrient contents in the field. So even though you would stop using these excessive amounts of nutrients, you still have the burden of history to be tackled in a way. And this is also visible in the nutrient balances, so they have been decreasing. So this means that the kind of the nutrient loading potential from Finnish agriculture has actually been decreasing, even though it is still positive, so there is some leaching potential from the fields. Then a few words about organic farming. We have actually seen an increase in organic farms up until the recent years, where the changes in the political environment have not been favorable to organic farming. But this increase has been mostly due to increasing grasslands and not so much in the crop production sector. And 5% of grain harvest is at the moment organic. And then about biodiversity, if we look at the bird populations and butterfly population that dwell in agricultural habitats, we can see quite clearly from these graphs that they are on a decreasing trend, which is due to the intensive nature and homogenization of agricultural landscapes in Finland. And basically the root cause, the most important root cause for the sustainability problems that we can observe is concentration and specialization. So we have been seeing strong development towards larger farm sizes, but at the same time, the agricultural incomes, even though the farm sizes have doubled or so, in the same time, the income that farmers are getting has been decreasing. So basically, this is a race to keep your head on the surface. So this structural development is taking place because of the declining price trends or price ratios in agriculture. And that is related to concentration, where we are seeing animal production of specific types. For example, pigs and poultry are concentrated in the western and southwestern areas in Finland, whereas the grass production and cattle production and dairy production takes place in central Finland, eastern Finland, and northern Finland. And that is a problem when it comes to nutrient loading and when it comes to biodiversity issues. And my argument is that if we cannot tackle this trend of concentration and centralization, we cannot tackle the sustainability problems. And this is visible in these figures. This is in Finnish, but what has been modeled in this picture is actually that if we don't change anything in the food system, how it is organized, and we just keep decreasing animal production, this is what happens to agricultural incomes and agricultural labor force. They will be decreasing in almost all of the production areas in Finland. And that is kind of why this discourse that is solely focused on animals without changing the structural conditions in the Finnish food system is so problematic for the producers. But fortunately, this is not the only way to go. So we have been trying to think of alternative future directions for the food system. And there we can identify, well, basically two alternatives. One is based on high technology, where we continue to have very efficient production methods and where we try to decouple food production from land and agriculture, where the production is very capital and energy intensive, and we aim at kind of sparing nature. And the other alternative would be quite different to that. So there we focus on agroecological production practices, where we have this kind of nature-inclusive solutions, where we localize the food system and where we aim at decentralization, agroecological symbiosis, where nutrients and energy is circulated within regions, where citizens are included in agricultural production more widely, and we kind of aim at sharing and integrating nature with the production. this could be the solution where we could actually scale down, for example, animal production without harming, for example, farmer incomes that much, whereas the high technology future is leading towards stronger concentration. And our stakeholders do not really favor this kind of high technology food scenario, but half of our food system stakeholders are in favor of the, or little less than half of the agroecology, while the same amount favor the contemporary food regime, fixed a bit. And that is kind of the problem, because we cannot fix the root causes of centralization within the contemporary system. Actually, the contemporary system will lead us to this high technology and stronger centralization. So we would need quite a lot of courage to actually step into an alternative future. I might have gone a bit over time, but that was my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Irene. Do anyone have questions?
Hi, Irene. Thank you very much for your presentation. It's helps check some boxes, and are sure that we're trying to do the right thing in Norway also. I saw that your spiral upwards stopped with the globalization. What's the next step in your mind, since globalization obviously has failed?
So your question, like, what would be the next step if we look at the past regimes and regime shifts?
Yes, what type of, what world are we entering that we can nudge people towards more agroecology and stuff?
I think one of the most important things that we should be doing is strongly supporting the change makers, trying to find out the communities, kind of the niche where these new alternatives are being nurtured, and then direct financial, emotional, legitimation kind of support to these actors. But unfortunately, what we are seeing at the moment, that even those initiatives that have taken a strong start in Finland, for example, in relation to agroecological symbiosis, are not doing very strongly in terms of the finances, because the trend of concentration is so strong at the moment. But I think we could, if we had the political will, turn that around.
There's a new times coming. Hang in there, keep on doing good work. Thank you very much.
Then the question is like what to do to get the more political will in Finland. That's the big question. What will make it happen? Because at the moment we don't have any signs of having strategic approach to change this situation from strong concentration.
If you already analyze this, who has the most benefit to stabilize the system as it is? Because before you change something, you have to figure out who benefits from the current status. And then you have to address those people, I think, or the power arrangements at the moment.
Irene?
Well, retail and trade are definitely some of those actors who are benefiting from the system as it is now. Also food processing, and in some sense also consumers, at least when it comes to the availability of cheap food. But then if we talk about other attributes and qualities of food other than just the price, I don't know whether the consumer is the winning party here. But I would say that the middlemen in the food system are those that are kind of benefiting from the food system staying as it is now.
Yes, and there is also this problem then that for the middlemen, it doesn't matter if the food comes from Finland or from other countries. It doesn't matter. As long as it is cheap, efficient, and people will buy it. Isn't it?
Yep.
Yes, so that's why there is not so strong keeping of that we must have this, use more local food and so on. So that's not really
I'm sorry.
so strong in Finland. Yeah, but Irene, am I right that, because in the Latvia presentation, it was a lot talking about strategically keeping with the local, strengthening the use of local food and production of local food and organic food. What about in Finland? I said that.
Yeah, I definitely think that favoring local production would be one of the key things that we could do. Unfortunately, I think, again, this discourse has somehow lost the sharp edge. So I don't know whether we're really having that kind of a discussion going on, at least very strongly at the national scale. And I think the problem here is, again, that when it comes to consumers, what can we expect them to do for convenience reasons? Because if you really want to buy local food, that actually takes quite a lot of time and energy to do that. So how can we build such institutional environment where that would be possible? That is one of the problems that we have, although public procurement could do much more, and it is doing quite a lot in some specific places, but as a whole, not necessarily.
Okay, Daniel, you have still one question. So.
Since you're talking about who's benefiting of this, you said there was a number up there with some 92-93% of all the food is sold through these 3 supermarkets. It's pretty similar here in Norway, and you said that they are also the processing that serves on it and everything. Like in the US and like in the UK, the Norwegian retail stores, because it's pretty similar climate, or exactly the same climate. So they have started with vertical integration. So they are now, they own the stores, they own the logistics, they own the processing. They will eventually, their goal is to try to own the farms also. So they have started somewhat with that in Norway. It's super scary. So have they gotten to this vertical integration step in Finland also?
There are some initiatives towards that direction. They haven't taken off yet, but still not so much. But I don't know about the future. There are some kind of these weak signals that might be happening.
Thank you very much for very how to say. We get better understanding of the whole situation, and I think this is very interesting to compare the differences between countries and go really to the root causes of sustainability challenges in our countries. So the next expert, maybe Leonita will introduce the next one.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Irene. And we are coming to the third expert, and he will be from Germany. I would like to welcome Florian Minzlaff, coordinator of Training Kitchen in Bremen.
So, what will I be talking about? I'll take a quick general view of food systems and then German food policy as it is right now. And then I'll zoom in on Bremen, on our project, what we do and what we try to achieve, some of the challenges, and then how we work with We Make Transition. So please bear with my polemics. A lot of people say the food system is broken. I like to keep it with Eric Jimenez, who says the food system is not broken. It does exactly what it is designed to do. What was it designed to do then? You know, this is an abstract, but it was designed to provide large quantity of food at a cheap cost while externalizing costs to public health, to the environment, and foods that are available all the time. Another EU project, FEAST 2030, came up with a very similar analysis. They came up with this view of a lose-lose-lose-win scenario. So the current food systems is producing lose situations for the environment, for individual health, for the public health, and big business is profiting. So what is a sustainable food system then? If you reverse this, a sustainable food system would be a collaborative network that enhances the well-being of the environment, of our individual health, of public health, while also keeping business alive. There was a recent study of food policies internationally, best practices, best practice examples of food policy compared to Germany and international cases. And the comparison for Germany doesn't look so favorable. They came up with a number of different categories, if you will. So food provisioning, for example, or food retail, regulations of food marketing, food prices, and Germany overall, compared to international examples, doesn't look all too great. So the red, so this is a classic traffic light. The red would be favors really badly in international comparison, and green would, yellow would be sort of okay, and green would be actually they compare very well to international cases. This was done by interviewing experts, though, I have to say. So they interviewed about 80 experts in Germany and abroad to kind of figure out where do we lie on different food policy subjects. How does German policy compare? So, in this study, they also identified some priority actions, and they are the following. So, for example, binding nutrition standards for school and kindergartens, a value-added tax on food and beverages that is lowered, a sugar-sweetened beverage tax on soft drinks, and stricter regulations on food marketing, especially on children. So, at least with the first one, this is something that I can speak to in Bremen, because that's something that we are working with. So, zooming in on Bremen. Where is Bremen? Bremen is in the northwest of Germany. It's up here. These two little red blobs. The particularity about Bremen is that it's both one of 16 German national federal states, and it's also a municipality. It's actually two. This is a mistake. Please don't execute me. Because this is actually two municipalities. It's the towns of Bremen and Bremerhaven up here. So that means more complex decision-making processes, but also a larger toolbox when it comes to working with those changes, because we can work both on a municipal level and a federal state level, which is kind of the in-between between the municipal and the national level. Bremen, just some numbers, in terms of, is mostly an urbanized state. We have around 600,000 inhabitants. There is some agriculture, about 8,000 hectares, 80% of which are pasture. So what Bremen produces locally is beef and dairy. Very little market gardening, fruit, and so on. But Bremen has the largest percentage of organic agriculture in Germany, 37%. Nationally, the average is at 14. There is a national strategy to increase the surface of organic agriculture by to 30% by 2030. So 5 more years. Bremen has already achieved that. Nationally, a long way to go still. Bremen also has the largest poverty rate in the country and the highest migration rate. So we're talking of a poverty rate of 30%. This is significant because food, as we know, is not only a public health issue, but also a social justice issue. So how have we come to Forum Küche, which is our project? Bremen has been very active in the food system transformation for years. Bremen became an organic city 10 years ago. There was a public campaign against cheap meat, if you will. So meat that is sold through a public institution that is produced at a very low cost. There was a public campaign against it, and that helped create the Action Plan 2025, which is what I will talking about now, because it's the foundation of the work that we do. So the Action Plan was decided in 2018, but it is only starting to being implemented now because the pandemic happened and all that. What does it say? So this talks about transforming the institutions that serve food in kindergartens, schools, and hospitals that are run by the city of Bremen. That means we're talking about 90 kindergartens, about 100 schools, and 3 hospitals. So that's the basis for the work we do. Of course, there's more kindergartens and more schools and more hospitals in Bremen, but they're not run by the city itself. So for them, this the implementation of the action plan is optional. So the action plan says 3 goals. Introduce the DGE quality standard. What is that? That's the standard by the German Association for Nutrition. And they actually have guidelines for all these different institutions as to what makes a sustainable diet. So there's different guidelines for kindergartens, different guidelines for schools, different guidelines for hospitals, for senior care homes even. So there's, they're all very detailed. I won't go into it. Basically, they published new guidelines last year, and they're a nationally adapted version of the planetary health diet, if you will. Sort of corrected for German eating habits and particularities. So the second goal is to transform all the public kitchens to up to 100% organic. This is what we deal with on a daily basis. Right now, when we look at kindergartens, we have everything from 0% up to, I would say, a good 90%. So we have some really good examples already. And using of regional and seasonal ingredients as much as possible. As you can imagine, if we define regional very strictly, Bremen doesn't get very far. But so we have to take a larger view, excuse me. Okay, what is Forum Küche? And what's so special about it? We are a project by the Senator of the Environment in Bremen. And we have a large training kitchen, as you can see here, that is equipped for about 20 people at a time. And our task is to work with all the chefs and kitchen staffs of these public institutions to help them increase their skills and their knowledge on the way of this transformation. Now, what's particular, there's different similar examples in Germany as to this work. What's so special about it is we're actually part of the Scandinavian people here might know this institution, the Volkshochschule. So this is an adult education center. You can go there to take Spanish classes, to learn an instrument, to learn about photography, to learn about Windows Excel, you name it. The way this worked in Bremen was the Senator for the Environment was looking for somebody who could deliver this project, and the Bremen Adult Education Center raised their hand because they said, well, this transformation is adult education and we don't do anything else, right? And then it just so happened that in the main building of the Bremen Volkshochschule, there happened to be a supermarket that was just going out of business. And so this huge space became available. So we got this beautiful kitchen to work in, and also a very large event space that Tina knows very well, because one of the transition arenas has been held in it, for a space for about 200 people with technology, equipment. So yeah, a joy to work in. So what do? We offer classes in an open system. Whoever is a chef or a kitchen staff in the communal catering in Bremen can join one of our classes. They're free. We, of course, also take care of networking. We do speed dating for local producers and kitchen managers. And one of the main tasks is, this is something that we're just starting this year, the consultancy and coaching of individual kitchens. This is set to be a 3-month process where they set the target. Let's say you're at 0% organic. We help you set your goals. Maybe you want to increase certain products to 100%, or your average in the kitchen to 50%. Maybe you want to create new value chains for certain regional products. So we work with your whole institution to make that happen. What are some of the classes in the open systems that we offer? We sort of have 3 action fields. The first one is cooking. So we offer classes in seasonal plant-based cooking with regional ingredients, for example. Classes that focus on low-waste cooking. There's many more. These are just some examples. The other action field is processes. So that would be how do I calculate with organic ingredients? Because one of the big shifts is, well, if you substitute conventional for organic 1-to-1, then everything will be more expensive. And one of our big goals is that this change that we're trying to make is actually cost neutral. So you have to adopt a very different kind of cooking, a very different kind of calculating. Then we do, sort of waste management. Another action field is the environment, which entails visits to best practice farms. When I come back on Monday, we'll be taking a group to a local market gardener and we'll be harvesting some of the produce they produce there, and we'll cook it right next door in the organic restaurant. Really looking forward to that. And for example, we'll do more theoretical classes linking some of the subjects. What can kindergartens and schools do to institute food education and so on. And then the last action field we call us, or we. So we do classes on How can the whole institution work well together? This is sort of more process facilitation, conflict resolution, that kind of stuff. And then, what have we learned in this 1.5 years that we've been active? We have the political will, which is great. We have the funding, but that's not enough. We actually have to get all the different departments that are touched by food, and as you know, food is a cross-sectoral issue. We're not only looking at the Department of Environment here, but we're also looking at the Education Department, we're looking at the Finance Department, at the Department of Health. So we need to get all these different departments working together on a similar strategy. That's a bit of a challenge, but we'll get there. So yeah, second point here, food is a public health and social justice issue. When we branch out to the social department, they have very different priorities, so we have to start speaking the same language. Some of the conditions must be designed to support the change. That means, for example, public tenders for school meal, for caterings, they have to be designed in a way that actually take into account the goals of the action plan, organic, seasonal, regional, quality standard, DGE. Then the gatekeeper effect, very important. We work very closely with some of the most important decision makers in Bremen, but talking to individual kitchens is really critical. Sometimes with the decision makers we don't get very far, but when we get individual kitchen managers, we can work really well with them. And then this is also this concerns Tina and the University of Bremen. Who are existing players? What are they doing already? And how can we add to this rather than reinventing the wheel? So with consulting, similar. Transformation is an emotional process. Rational arguments don't get you very far. When things get really physical, really concrete, then you get to deal with people's resistance, with people's fears. When we go into kitchens, sometimes, the eye level is very important. We're not trying to teach them, show them how to properly cook. They know that already. We're just here to help them adapt to the new realities. So, in that sense, what works? Meeting people where they're at. Individual modules that we can use or not use depending on what the strengths of a particular kitchen manager are, what they're good at. We want to support the things they're good at. So if somebody is a numbers person, then we'll work with them, then we'll kind of get them with calculation. We'll use more technical arguments maybe. Of course, exciting recipes. We're not approaching the kitchens with a big recipe book. This is what you have to do now. But sometimes it's helpful if you have something up your sleeve, something new, something creative, to show them actually all this change, organic, regional, seasonal, it has to taste good. That's the number one most important. All the health benefits, social benefits, environmental benefits, they don't count anything when the stuff on your plate does not look good and taste good, especially for kids. Again, what have we learned? We have one kitchen trainer. I said before we have 88 kindergarten kitchens. You can imagine how far we're getting there in the next 10 years. So then we look at what is the whole institution, what is the kitchen staff enthusiastic about, and what else can we get them excited about. So how have we worked with We Make Transition? We have, I think, a very closely aligned mission, a closely aligned view of systemic transformation. Food is the lever for transition there, and we're now working we're working to design collaborative events where we address our target audience, which is school food. together and combine our strength. Just a quick overview of some of the events that we've done so far. We opened about a year ago. We've had about 30 courses, 300 participants for training, worked with about 50 kindergartens. They've been to classes. We have one class that's about systemically working together in the institution, so we get not only the kitchen staff, but also the leadership and the pedagogical staff together to work on. They set their own goal, what they would like to change, and we support them with facilitation methods and similar to the transition arena, actually. Then we've become a partner in a nationally funded it's called competition. It's a funding scheme to institute food systems transformation model regions. We're in that as well, working with Bremerhaven and Bremen together. And as of this month, we're also, we were named the networking office for kindergarten and school meals. This is important because this is an institution that every federal state in Germany has, except Bremen for the longest time didn't have one. So this gives us a foot in the door with the education department, and hopefully we'll be working very closely with them to change public procurement, to identify some of the challenges there and help them fulfill their mission and our mission. Some more pictures of our cooking classes. These are all this is a mix of school and kindergarten chefs, actually. This was last year a fair of local organic producers we organized for them. That's what we do. Happy to take questions.
Okay, thank you, Florian. That was impressive, I think so, this presentation and the job you are doing in Bremen. When you mentioned this target with 100% of organic food in kindergartens, it may sound like a mission impossible, but you also mentioned those good examples where you already reached like 90%. And yesterday we visited one of the schools in Vidzeme region, and they are going for the target 30%. It sounds okay, but then 90 and 100, it's like amazing. But you also mentioned that in Bremen you have those good conditions that you are you have this organic land share already more than average in the country. So that means you have also the more organic producers, I suppose so. But how do you deal with reaching those 100% of organic food? Do you have enough local producers of organic food, or you still need to look around somewhere else?
Yeah, of course, this is the classic chicken and egg problem, right? School kitchens, if they can't get the organic regional produce, then they won't start the transformation. But if local farmers don't have the demand from these institutions, then they won't start the change. So we have to work both sides at the same time. That's just how it is. And of course, Bremen's local produce is organic beef and organic dairy. That's one important aspect, but we're looking to have a lot more local organic vegetables, legumes, and so on. It's still a work in progress.
So I see here quite a lot of similarities with the Vidzeme region and the concept of bioregion we are trying to develop, and also trying to increase the consumption of organic food. That includes also the public institutions, and we similarly work with the procurement specialists in municipalities. So there's some still discussion we can talk later on. But maybe in the audience we have some more questions for Florian, please.
Thank you very much, very inspiring. Both my pen and my camera went off like crazy during this talk. Are there anyone measuring the effects on the well-being and the learning outcome from the children that are eating more organic in some of these places?
That's not something we do, but we work. So one of the project partners in our project is the Leibniz Institute for Epidemiology in Bremen, and they are a scientific institution who would accompany such kind of interviews, investigations. Yeah.
Oh, because it's really interesting, because there's even in prisons in the US, when it changed to organic food, like the violence between the inmates went down with 20-30%. So I guess if the policymakers can see that there's a long-term effect of more educated children with less resources there, I guess it's a non-question.
That being said, we need more studies like that so that we can show the policymakers.
Because the school didn't do that we visited yesterday either, but they're just 1 year in, so they. But it's if you find a good KPI or something good to measure after there, I think we can help the policymakers. Yeah.
There's
do
a
their
lot
job
of
also.
a lot of sort of everyday experience of this, but not a lot of scientific studies yet.
Oh. Thank you very much.
To my knowledge, anyway.
Okay, we have some more questions.
Yes, thank you for the good presentation. And I was wondering, what can we do from the legislative point of view to ease the local market to work better?
I think when you look at public tenders for school meals, that needs to be in there, and so this is an issue where you need to the whole public administration pulling on the same kind of thread, working together. And we have all these different departments in Bremen, and they're not all run by different parties. We have a coalition government in Bremen, and they don't always see eye to eye, even though you would think they will. So this is one of the challenges.
But what is the most important legislative issue in Germany, Bremen, that eases the situation?
In Bremen, I would certainly say if it's public procurement. So if we could have an institution that is able to procure for all these, for the kindergartens, for the schools together, then we'd have a much different impact on the market, for example. So, there's different models you can do this. Right now, all the individual kitchens are buying for themselves, so we have a huge fragmentation and less impact on the market. If all the kindergartens, all the schools bought their food together, and we could go to regional farmers, regional organic farmers, and say, hey, we need so and so many tons chickpeas, what have you, pasta, then we'd have a much different impact on the market, for example.
I want to add one good example. I heard on the European Food Conference in September last year, that was in Bremen, and there the mayor of Paris spoke, and I think that's, for me, it's the best example. They are obliged, they have to take the food in the distance of 25 kilometers around Paris, otherwise, in public kitchens, otherwise they are not allowed to consume or to produce food in the kitchens. So, in my opinion, it would be really a good instrument to have, it depends on the region, to say, well, the food has to come in the radius of, 50 kilometers around the city, otherwise you're not allowed to produce it in public kitchens. That was, for me, in Paris, it's already implemented. But it's
European Union, so
yeah, because that's against the procurement law in Finland. So I don't know how that's possible.
Well, they do it.
yeah. So we can change it. It's possible to change.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, we have one more question from the audience.
And you mentioned the procurement, and what is the possibilities or tools how the small-scale farmers, which are mostly organic farmers or small-scale farmers, how they can take a part in this procurement? And yes, I had the same question about food miles.
Yeah, so in terms of procurement, and I think this was talked about yesterday, it comes down to really small individual lots that farmers can apply to. So if the school system was looking for dairy or for certain vegetables, then really having these individual small lots so that smaller farmers can actually deliver rather than having big combined lots of fruits and vegetables that some of these farmers don't produce and can never apply to. So I think that's one thing. But then it also just comes down to relationships, right? We need to institute direct relationships between farmers and kitchens, and relationships of trust and long-term relationships where the farmers know, okay, for the next 5 years, I know exactly the amount that this kitchen will buy from me of whatever it is I produce. So, to me, this is one of the most important things. This kind of transformational work is relational work in the end. Yeah.
So thank you, Florian. I think we need to move to the next speaker to keep the time. But Florian, I think in your example, most interesting is that you have a concept, this where you work at Bremen and this Forum Küchen, that you work with all the stakeholders that are related to the food system. So also you have this connection to the food producers, and that's the key to make it work. So you have to keep hold on the whole system, not just one piece of it. And that's the biggest problem, because then we end up in more unsustainable ways if we just focus on one part of the system. So that's very good.
Maybe I just want to add that after the local transition arena, we did one event in the Forum Küche, and now in May next month we do a second one, and we invite teachers and also kitchen staff, and it's already a cooperation between our project and the Forum Küche, and yeah, it's really nice.
And
so,
I'm quite happy.
Yes, so another great example of the We Make Transition project power. Yes, great. So, the next speaker. So Linda Connie Thorsteinsen from Norway, advisor for circular economy, food and communication in Trondheim municipality. Welcome.
I am mostly going to talk about how our municipality can increase the purchases of locally produced food. Let me see if I can manage this one. Yeah. But I start with a quick overview of the challenges, but also the possibilities of the food system in Norway. And Irene from Finland was talking about self-sufficiency. And in today's world, that's become an increased focus on self-sufficiency in Norway. And that's very important because we have a very low self-sufficiency percentage. It's somewhere around 45 to 48% per now. So that the government finally are focusing on this is really important for us. I'd also like to mention that right now, in these days, the government have presented a proposal for a food waste law, where, for example, risk analysis is very important, and also mandatory donations to food banks, etc. Finland was also mentioning competitiveness and the challenges of products on very few hands. Also in Norway, there are 3 large grocery stores or companies that owns grocery stores. And they are also promoting their own brands now, which makes it more difficult to find a variety of products for the consumers. And Daniel also mentions that they're trying to take over more of the food value chain as well. On the positive side, there has been a small decrease in GHG emissions from farming in 2023. It's the newest data that I found. It's a decrease in 4%. But at the same time, emissions from the food system is still considered a huge problem, of course. On the other hand, climate change itself poses an increasing threat to the Norwegian food production, because the climate changing makes it more difficult to foresee the weather, and there are a lot of difficulties according to that. Last year, we also got new national dietary guidelines from the Ministry of Health, which of course focuses on reducing especially the consumption of red meat, but also focuses on a variation in diet. And maybe the most happy news is that there has been an increased interest in local food, and in 2023 we saw new sales records of locally produced food in Norway. So that's good. Some of you might remember this if you visited Trondheim. It's the old bridge in Trondheim and the portal of happiness. And I'm not going to tell you much about Trondheim as a municipality, but we have around 214,000 inhabitants and 15,000 employees within the municipality. In 2022, the municipality of Trondheim got its own food strategy. And it has 2 main focus areas, which I'm not going to read loud, but I can see that there are very much similarities to the Vidsima food strategy for the region. In according to these 2 focus areas, the strategy contains of 7 huge goals and 30 strategies on how to achieve those goals. I myself am leading a small group of employees. I'd like to call it a task force of people within the municipality that are working with this strategy. It contains of, amongst others, nutritionists, employees from the educational sector, the health sector, the climate part of the municipality, the procurement unit, and so on. So I think we're quite a strong group. And we have, for a period now, for 2024 and 2025, chosen some focus areas out of all these strategies, as you can see in these pictures. The first line shows 5 focus areas. It's procurement, it's locally produced food, competence and education. And if you look at the first one, if I manage to, this is a project quite similar to what Bremen are working on, actually. We are working a lot with reducing food waste and how to mobilize and position the city as a food city. also for travelers. The last line shows the strategies that these focus areas belong to. And in the middle, you can see the projects and the pilots that we're working on right now. The ones with a full gray circle are projects where we work together with external partners. And the stippled lines shows projects where we are just in a planning phase right now. Research and development are important to connect to all these projects, actually. Trondheim calls itself the study capital of Norway. So using the knowledge from the universities and research facilities in Trondheim is very important. For now, we are going to focus more about locally produced food. And we have made a definition for what that means for us in Trondheim. So that is projects with raw materials from and/or materials processed in the region of Trøndelag. And we have some KPIs. Our goals is to reach a purchase of 20% within the municipality in this year and 30% within 2027. And by 2023, we reached a little more than 16%. So we're on our way. Right now, we are working on three different levels or projects to increase purchase of locally produced food. The first one is the pilot together with Daniel and the gestor, which I'm going to talk more about. But I'll shortly like to mention two others as well. First, now we have finished this in April. We have facilitated a scope of action of 20 to 30% in our major food supply tenders. And what this actually means, it's quite similar to what we heard at the school we visited yesterday. It means that we are still required to purchase at least 70 to 80% of the total within a food group from the big tenders. For example, the procurement or tender for vegetables or fruit or dairy. But the remainder can be used to make smaller contracts with local small and medium-sized farmers. Which means that we as well will get more contracts to follow over time in Trondheim. The last thing I'd like to mention is that we are working on improving buyer expertise, because in the municipality there are a lot of employees that buy groceries on a weekly basis. And they don't really know how to use the different tenders that we have. I'll come a bit back to that later as well.
Linda, can I just ask one question?
Yeah.
Why is this that you are required to purchase at least 70 to 80%? Who says that?
The municipality says that in the large procurement, the green procurements, because we can't say that we'll like to buy more local food from a certain area around the city. But we can say that we will buy 80%, for example, of the vegetables in this from a wholesaler in this procurement, and then we have 20% left that we can use to buy vegetables from smaller producers. We still have to make procurements, but then we can say, okay, we know that a lot of farmers in the area grow potatoes, for example. so we can make our own procurement on potatoes.
So only for the small?
Not only for the small, but the amount of money used will be so small that it won't be that interesting for the wholesalers to apply for those procurements. Yeah. I hope that clarified some of it. Yeah. And I have to say, we haven't tried this before, so we are kind of trying to find our way as well. And that was the wrong way. Okay. There are, of course, some conflicting goals that we have to work with to avoid trade-offs. We have the goal for increased purchases of local produced food, but we also have an energy and climate strategy that says that we are going to be climate neutral within 2030. So we have to cut greenhouse gases as well. So the possible conflict is about logistics, I think. So how can we increase the municipalities' purchases of locally produced food without increasing the number of cars on the roads? And that's where the Just Store came into the picture. And where that actually happened was on my first meeting in the We Make Transition arena. It was at a dialogue meeting in January 2024. And I got to talk to Daniel and his partner Ellen. And I was so inspired by the way they were talking about a just food system. So I just bursted out, hadn't thought it through at all. Have you ever thought about working with a municipality, for example? And a few hours later, the same day, I got the first email from the Just Store. So that's where it started. And from there, we started working towards a pilot. And it has taken quite some time. Yeah. We started the pilot in March this year. And from this to there, we have worked on how to do it. And some of the background is that we wanted to use this pilot to get knowledge. It's quite a small pilot for now, but we, of course, want to scale up. But we need knowledge to do that. As I showed you, we want to test different logistic solutions. And we wanted to start with some smaller units so that we got a manageable amount of goods. So we decided to start with some schools and kindergartens. Started with 7, now I think we are close to 20 already, yeah. So, and there are a lot of schools and kindergartens that want to join. It was also important to find the right products. So we have started with a selection of vegetables and eggs. And we also want to use the pilot to reduce food waste. So the schools and vegetables can now buy, what should I call it, secondary products. Vegetables that don't have the grocery store standards, that look a bit different, or too small or too big, and so on. So there still remains to be human food in this pilot. Business development is also very important. We want to show the local small and medium-sized farmers that we can be a new market for them. And of course, we hope that this can be a part of the work to get more self-sufficient as well. This is maybe a bit chaotic, but it shows how the procurement system from schools and kindergartens is today before the pilot. So there are large producers that send their merchandises through a transport, through the large wholesalers that we have the large tenders with, that again transport the groceries to the schools and kindergartens. In addition to this, we know that some people at the schools and kindergartens, there are always some kind of local store nearby. So suddenly, a teacher walks to the local store, buys the groceries, and goes back. And of course, that's not allowed when you have procurement and in a municipality. And that's why it's so important to educate the buyers on how to use the system in the right way. Because we don't have any procurement or tenders with the local stores in Trondheim. That's not where they are allowed to buy things. The change through the pilot will look something like this. We are directing the purchases to the small and medium-sized producers. So the schools and kindergartens now order a selection of vegetables and eggs through the Just Store, which have developed a net shop for these schools and kindergartens. And then they have the dialogue with the producers or farmers, and we are trying to use co-transportation out to the schools again. And for now, we are using the wholesaler for milk in Trondheim. So they collect the vegetables and the eggs from the farmers and brings it to the schools together with the milk. I have to look at Daniel and he nods, so I think it's fine. Yeah. So this is where we are right now. And I'm...
How cost efficient is this system?
I think Daniel is better to answer that than me, but I can say that for now, it's not very efficient at all. And it's a lot of job for the Just Store. But it's the first step on the way to the knowledge part, because we have also sought funding to build, hopefully, kind of a hub, a transportation hub in the future that can do this more automatically. Yeah. But it's the first step on the way. This is my last slide. It just shows the plan for the whole pilot. Someone asked earlier about how to get the decision makers on board. And for us, it is bringing them on board through the whole travel in the pilot, and also giving them enough knowledge, numbers and so on, so that they can be a part of this later and maybe help us change the system. So, hopefully you can get this presentation and you can read it closely later. So that was it for me. If you have any questions, just please ask. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much for this presentation. I was wondering, when this whole thing is in the strategy, does the municipality have a certain budget every year for this pilot?
No money at all. Yeah. Just the working hours on the people in the task force, and other than that, we have to seek funding for everything we do. Yeah. No budget.
Good luck. But there is national funding. I think you have funding sources that you apply from the national funds.
Both nationally and regionally, we can search funding. So we have, I think, right now 4 fundings that we have searched for. Yeah.
I have 2 questions. That the schools and kindergartens cook by themselves is not questioned at all. So that will stay for the next 10, 20 years. Is that right?
Maybe I have to specify that a little bit, because in the Norwegian schools you then don't have lunch served at school.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, you have to bring your own lunch.
Ah, okay.
So the food that the schools buy are mostly for the food classes and for an after-school program that actually make and serve food to the children after school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because in Bremen we have the discussion if we do big kitchens outside of Bremen that cook and freeze and bring it to the schools, or if the small kitchens can stay in the schools by themselves. And there's a big discussion how the Department for Education wants to head to. Yeah. Okay.
I can add that in the health sector in Trondheim, it's like that. You have a large production kitchen that make the meals, the warm meals, and sends it out to all the health centers in the city. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And the second question is, normally human beings tend to be competitive, and if you have small farms, they also maybe grow if it stabilizes, the system stabilizes. How do you keep it small and medium-sized and in sort of cooperative competition as it is now?
Can Daniel answer, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is, as you just said, that the scale right now is very small. Like an average order from one of these units, because of the way it's set up, it's like it's averages around 50 to 60 euros per order, per week, per unit, which is not very much. So right now we have just had to start with a couple of farms, because also with the season that we're in, the Norwegian season is super short when buying in local food. So right now we're doing root vegetables from last year and eggs, but so that then we'll be able to do aggregate from 3 different farms at the moment, and we've set up for now a decentralized mini hub at one of these farmers. So it's being collected there for the day before it goes to the milk persons and being spread out to the schools. But then we have I kind of lost what you were saying. I'm just going to say what I'm going to say anyways, and hope that I answer what you're asked for. But so I was just saying that I basically forgot what you asked for, but I'm just going to say what I think you need. Which answer is this?
You need to have a competition to stay small, but you also cooperate. And
yes.
How
So
do you prevent that they get one and big?
yes, so they are, at this point in time, it's not a problem in the middle of Norway, because there are not, we're closing 1 to 2 farms in Norway every day. Every day, 1 to 2 farms closes, but then they're being bought up by the big ones and bigger ones, and then eventually corporations and everything. But now we are gathering and talking to most of the farmers in Trøndelag through different small farms associations. We are very closely tied to the Norwegian Small Farm Association. They're basically partners on a lot of things that we do. So it's just, and the values that we have created the Just Store on, if that will be the system moving forward. Of course, it's open competition after this pilot, and hopefully somebody with matching values, or we could inspire one to have that. But small is beautiful is one of our main values that we build this from. So we're never going to prioritize that, and going to make sure that we have some systems in order. There were mentions on blockchain here, and it's a very natural step to do some smart contracts and some transparency in this later down the line. Also,
could also mention that later in the pilot we will invite all the local farmers to dialogue meetings to listen, talk together, work together, understand their needs better, and so on. Yeah, as a part of the
100%.
pilot as well.
Yeah, and this because when you figure out, because it's a very small thing right now, but what we are, as you said, the research and knowledge part now, because we are figuring out the logistics part of it, and when you got the logistics part of it properly, because the Trondheim municipality buys food for around 100 to 150 million kroners a year or something, which is like times divided by 10 approximately to the euro or 11. So and then so they can, with a push of a button, open up for 600 units, which are then the hospitals and all the other stuff around it. But we need a supply to be able to provide to that, and we need a good logistics, and we need the system to work autonomously. So good things are coming in this thing. Yeah. And just a minor one, because as you saw that it was local. We have focus on local supply rather than bio or organic right now. And the farmers have told us several, like I've been working with the farmers for 4 or 5 years now, and it's a consistent answer. We will do whatever you ask us to do. We are tools for you. So right now the market wants conventional, sadly, because it's so price sensitive. But they say that if you want organic, we make organic. We are tools for you. So that's why we started with local, try to make so they make more money, and when they make more money, they will do more best practices.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. I think we must keep the time now, so it's very interesting discussion. And I just want to clarify about this funding, that this pilot, what you have, also you have funding available in the VMEC transition project to use for this pilot. So. And that's what we are now discussing, like how to use that money for this. Yes. So that, because Ritva answered that, is there any money? But this project is to get also support implementation of the pilots. So we just have to discuss how much or how to use the money the best way in this case. But our project is We Make Transition, and I think this is really much transition what you are making. So it needs to be supported by the project. So just to clarify. And then, of course, you are applying funding for this, for the continuation and everything. So it looks good. Yes. And then, yeah, I know that we are now losing the timetable, losing from the timetable, but let's start the coffee break a little bit later now. Let's prolong this. Sorry for this, but because I would like to ask, at least from I think there has been a lot of discussion already, but from our experts, could you come to sit here? Yes. Liga. So and my Irene is online there. Is there possibility to get Irene? So yes, okay, she's there. So I would first like to ask from Irene, what did you learn from these other countries' presentations? What was surprising or most interesting?
Well, for me, it was just fascination to learn about these concrete examples of what you're doing, and on the other hand, all the complexities that are related to actually enacting transformative changes. So it's hard to pinpoint any single learning, but that as a whole, I think, was a very valuable learning for me.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. Anything to compare to the schools in Finland, for example, procurements?
Well, I would definitely love to see more of that. And one thing I was wondering, like, what acts as a trigger for these kinds of initiatives? So do the actors feel that they are resourceful, or kind of how to nurture this kind of atmosphere that we can actually affect and we can make a change by ourselves? Because that seems to be sometimes a bit of a problem in the Finnish landscape.
And after these presentations, I feel that there is also a lot of legislations and bureaucracy which is interpreted different ways in different countries, like what you said, the Paris example. So that's, I think it's a major problem how we, and our cultures are so different, how we like think that this is the legislation and we cannot change it, and also it's about interpreting the EU legislation, I think.
At least from my municipality, it's a little bit about the maturity of the procurement units around in the municipalities, because it's quite different. In this pilot, I tried to get that unit to go along with a more innovative procurement, but they said no. So to get them on board, I felt that we had to do it quite old-fashioned, because there are more possibilities in the procurement regulations today than I think they went for. Yeah.
Yes, world is changing also. So.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your comments and presentations. I just wanted to tell you that, oh, this mic sounds loud, that we have good examples in Finland also. So we have like the city of Turku and 4 other cities are owning this, how to say, public, like catering, yeah. So, yeah. So I was just checking because we've been working with them that they buy, like, their meat has been like 100% Finnish, and their dairy products 97% Finnish, and the vegetables about 83% Finnish. So it's possible, yeah.
It requires a strong will of the stakeholders to start do things like that. So and it varies in different parts of the country how it is organized.
I just wanted to add that we have legislation on EU level all the way down to municipal level, and so it makes it very complex. And in my experience, it really just comes down to keep doing the work, and sometimes the circumstances are not quite right, so you need to keep doing the work, and at some point you may get the right people in the right room at the right time, and things will happen. We have the political will in Bremen. We also have the funding, which is often an issue. Yet, we still have a lot of challenges, because what we need is a shift, and I think Irene was also talking about this. What we need is not more technological solution. They can be of assistance, of course, but we need a shift in awareness. That's the most important thing. And this you can only do one person at a time most of the times. So I think that really is the tricky bit when we talk about sustainability transition.
Yes, thank you. And Florian, what did you learn from these other presentations?
To me, it was very encouraging to see, to hear from colleagues on an international level, and I learned that the local challenges might be different, but overall, I think we've heard a broad consensus of what the solutions are, and to me, I go away and I feel very encouraged, really. So That's one of the most important things. You need networks and relationships and people that have maybe a different, for you, you were saying it's logistics, we're working on logistics. In Bremen, logistics, we haven't even gotten to logistics. We're doing other things that maybe you're not doing, but so I look forward to more exchange on these things.
Yes, you will stay in contact.
Absolutely.
Yes. What about you, Linda? Yes.
I was really expressed by presentation from Bremen and other presentations also, but in Bremen case I was expressed of their target 100% of organic in public meals and in HoReCa sector as well. And if you talk about HoReCa sector in our region, we are in very begin on this way. And it's a good example what we can learn from other countries, from other partners.
Yes, thank you. And I think in your presentation, it was interesting to hear that you have a lot of
about bee colonies, you think?
Yes,
yes. It means our farmers are thinking more greens than others.
I mean
they are thinking about environment, and what I want to mention is that most of them are organic farmers, beekeepers.
Yes. So that is an asset for you.
Yeah.
That you have this biodiversity in your countryside.
Yes, because the more sustainable food system, it's one of the goals is biodiversity. To keep biodiversity at this level, or to keep it, to take it more diverse. I don't know, more different species in our in our fields and in ground not, but so in soil, yes. And soil health, actually, it's also.
How did you feel about this presentation from Finland, that we have this so much concentrated agriculture, so it's very isolated what is produced in which places of country? I think you have a bit different, that you have more heterogeneous.
Yes, and we are different in different condition if we are, I think, in Finland case, because there are totally different climates from north and south, of course, and what I would get from Finland presentation example, it's agroecology approach in agriculture, because I think not all farmers are going to be organic farmers, but this agroecology approach allowed them to be more environmental friendly and produce in properly way agriculture products.
Do you have any comment, Irene, on this?
Yeah, I mean, to me, well, this wasn't in the presentation, but when we have been serving farmers, Finnish farmers, which is actually quite surprising, they mostly want to keep the system as it is, even though they are probably the ones who are hurting by the system the most from all the food system actors. And I think one reason for this is that there is still lacking awareness of the kind of the possibilities that there are, so that unfortunately sometimes among certain farmer groups, definitely not all of them, there is this kind of a feeling that sustainability might not mean good things for them, while it actually could, especially through these kinds of agroecological solutions. But yeah, there is a lot to do in terms of awareness raising, for example.
Yes, and I think we again come to this question, how do you define sustainability? So, and that's also interpreted, or different things are underlined in different countries, in the big discussion in different countries. That's what my conclusion and my learning from this project.
I can add, because local production, not always sustainability. It's not synonyms. It can't be sometimes sustainable.
Yes, and Linda, you are the final commenter on the presentations, and then we will go for coffee break.
I actually think that most are said for now, but for me it's very inspiring just to see all the similarities, both in what are challenging for each country and region, and the possibilities. I think that's my conclusion. I think there are a lot of similarities, and it feels a bit good, actually, that you don't stand alone in the difficulties.
Yes, even you are not in European Union.
No, that's true. We pretend, though. Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for this session.